Ready.
Hey guys, welcome back to Facebook Vitality Live. I'm here with VPH, Valérie Parent-Houle.
That's me. I'm the physio here.
Picking up from yesterday, International Women's Day. We got a rock star woman right here next to us. Big shout out to all the women out there. Keep being badasses. And we are, lots of amazing women in my life. So
Some pretty great ones here.
And there's some amazing ones here. So
Yeah.
we love all of you. Keep being badasses. And today we are talking about
Sleeping positions.
sleep positions, right? Last week, Kevin and I spoke about just sleep habits, right? Different ways of improving the quality and quantity of sleep. So we talked about, you got to get your 6 to 9 hours of sleep. You need more when you're younger as a kid. As you go through life, you need a little bit less, but inevitably you need lots of sleep, right?
Lots of sleep.
Yeah, all the magic happens during sleep, recovery.
Yeah, Sean hasn't been getting too much sleep lately.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have young kids, so that my sleep for this last 2 years has been a little suspect, and my memory,
for the least.
My memory is fading me a little bit, but it'll come back once I start sleeping again. It'll come back. We talked about just simple tips last week. We talked about getting active or getting enough daylight so that it helps your melatonin cycle, the production of melatonin and the release of melatonin. You need sunlight, which helps you sleep. We talked about limiting your exposure to EMF, so all that electromagnetic field, so the stuff we get from our phones and from
As
the
we're using a
Wi-Fi,
phone.
Wi-Fi, all that stuff affects your sleep. It also affects other things, but it affects your sleep. We talked about having a nice dark room, right? So blackout blinds, removing a TV from your room. Don't have a TV. Don't read in your bed, right? All these things, actually, your bed should be for sleeping. We're going to talk about bed today and sleep positions.
Yeah.
But those are simple tips to help you sleep better. Adequate exercise, stress reduction, right? So we talked about a journal where you can empty your brain dump before you go to bed.
Yeah, because a lot of people have their brain running and they can't sleep.
Yeah. So those are all tips on how to improve the quality of sleep. We talked about caffeine, right? Reducing your caffeine intake gradually throughout the day. So some say not after 3 o'clock. Others would argue even before 11 or 12 to cut caffeine, because that affects your body's ability to put itself to rest.
Mm-hmm.
And then addressing any other major health concerns that could affect your sleep. So stress, the adrenals, pineal gland we talked about. So those are that. But today we're going to talk about
Sleep positions. Yeah.
All right. I've talked way too much, so we're going to let the talented Valérie Parent-Houle.
There's only a couple of sleep positions, right? So we can start with sleeping on your back. So there's a couple of really great benefits about sleeping on your back. Well, first, it's a pretty great position for your back, and even better when you have a pillow.
Alignment, right?
Alignment, exactly. So what we always want to look at is your alignment between your ears, shoulders, and hips, almost, right? So we want to make sure that that's straight-ish as much as possible. I have a lot of clients of mine say, well, I'm sleeping. I can't control the way I sleep, right? And sure, that's true. It is better to get sleep. There has been studies that have been done that it's better to sleep, get good sleeping than it is to wake up all the time and watch out for your position. But it's ideal to try good sleeping positions. So yes, on your back is really great. The only downside to being on your back is often people on your back can snore more, right? And
snoring, there's a whole other, a lot of other things going on with respect to snoring. So that could be intolerances that cause congestion. That could be, a surplus of weight, right? So there's other things that are stress, alcohol, right?
Snoring doesn't really bother anyone else except for if you have someone else in the bed with you.
so sleeping on your back, definitely, right? It can increase snoring.
And more sleep apnea as well, right? On your back?
Sleep apnea, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that can cut off the airway.
So that affects you directly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Affects you directly. That affects your ability to recover.
Yeah.
If we had to say probably the ideal position for sleep would be on your back, right? And then we're going to talk about the next one.
The next one, on your side. There's different positions you can have on your side, right? So you can have the really tight fetal position, knees really close up to your chest, or you can also be sort of loose on your side or straight, right? So being in a fetal position, well, being on the side is good,
Yes.
is ideal. But the only issue is if, let's say, you're in a tight fetal position with your knees really high up to your chest, that can have an impact on the way you're breathing. So when we've had topics about breathing, right? And we're supposed to have a nice deep breath while you're sleeping. And therefore, if you're sleeping really tight, you don't have that expansion in your tummy area, so you don't get a deep breathing, which is what we want. Mm-hmm. Deep breathing during deep sleep.
Exactly. Oxygenation. Like we talked about sleep apnea, that's one of the things where you're actually not breathing for periods throughout the night, which is not good. So, like you said, if you're tucked into a ball, it's the same thing when you're sitting, right? You're actually compressing your body's ability to breathe, or you're compressing your diaphragm. So, sleeping on your side, and then I guess, or I'll jump in here. The key to remember, so that with these positions, like Val said, is it's just alignment, right? So this isn't rocket science. This is actually just simple biomechanics. So if I'm sleeping on my back, I really want to make sure that my head's neutral. I want to make sure that the curve in my spine is supported, so that I'm not in overextension,
or the other way around,
or not in hyperflexion, right? So, and then that has to do with all the curves of your body. So that's why actually a firm mattress, this is really good, is way more important than a soft mattress, right?
It is, but I mean, a lot of people have a hard time sleeping on a really, really extra firm mattress. Mm-hmm. So if you are planning on changing your mattress, just make sure that you can test it out first for a couple of days. Because a mattress is a pretty big investment. Definitely. So you want to make sure that you can actually sleep.
You want to be able to sleep. And so most good companies will have a 100-day refund or
60,
return. 60 to 100
like
days.
Mm-hmm.
But generally speaking, the firmer the better for mattress, because it helps support your body's natural curves. So if you're on your side, how should we position ourselves over on our side?
Well, when you're on your side, okay, a big downside with sleeping on your side is that, people sleep with their arms sort of a little bit wonky, right? And then they wake up and their arm is a little bit full of pins and needles and feels dead, right? Yeah, dead. So you want to make sure that your arm's not in a crazy position and your elbow's not fully bent, because as soon as you keep your elbow fully bent, you're putting your ulnar nerve in a stretch out position, and therefore that can, give you numbness and pins and needles in your hand. So we want to avoid that, obviously. But what other?
Yeah. So okay, when we talked about the head, right? Yeah. We talked about. So you have to take into account your body type, right? So your shoulder width, or the width of your hips, so your hip structure. So some people might benefit from a larger pillow. If you're a side sleeper, some people might benefit from a larger pillow. If you have a big shoulder width height or head, right? Well, I guess the size between your shoulder and your head. Yeah. So again, neutral, right? We don't want to see this, and we see this all the time. Some people they'll curl into a little ball, which puts pressure, right? Actually compresses the tissues on this side, some of the nerves, some of the blood flow. Oh. And the opposite would be just as true. If I had a massive pillow and I'm sleeping on my left side, for example, what would it do? Well, then it's going to stretch all these muscles and stretch all these nerves, and it's going to compress the opposite side. So we think neutral, right? Then when we come down the spine, if you have, like you said, if you have larger hips than someone else, then you might need even a small pillow underneath between your ribs and your hip to help support your neutral spine. Again, you don't want to see any of that bowing or that laterality. And then when we get to the knees, right, this is a really good important thing.
Putting a
small pillow, right, to help, again, with the alignment of your hip and pelvis and your knees. Some people will hang their knee over. Some people will hang their knee back.
Yeah, you sort of get that like half on the side, half on your stomach kind of position, and you put your low back in a rotation overnight, and that's not good.
Yeah, so keep in mind, like we said, 6 to 8 to 9 hours of sleep, right, a night. That is, if we look at it 24 hours in a day, that's a third of your lifetime. So if you are sleeping,
I'm okay with that. I like
it's
sleeping.
amazing. Sleeping is so important, right? In terms of healthcare, sleep is probably the number one thing that everyone can do in order to improve their health, because everything beneficial happens, all the physiological process of the body, right? The rest, the repair, all happens while you sleep. So it's so overlooked, sleep, right? Like we talked about this last time, but it's so important, sleep. So if you're sleeping for 6 to 8 hours a night, that's a third of your lifetime. So you have to make sure your posture is good so that you minimize the impact on your muscles, joints, nerves, vascular system.
And if you wake up with pain, I mean,
yes,
usually it's because of the way you've been sleeping, right?
Yeah, so check your mattress.
Yeah, check the mattress. Check, a lot of people actually neck pain. Also, it's probably a good idea to even give yourself a good amount of neck support. So if your pillow doesn't give you enough support right in the neck, what you can do is roll up a towel and place it around your neck. That can also be useful while you're sleeping. It really depends on the individual and where you have weaknesses and where you wake up with pain.
All right, so out of those, there is actually another way to sleep too, but we try and teach people not to do this. So the last one is
sleeping on the stomach,
which is
not a good position to sleep in. There's one advantage to sleeping on your stomach, and usually it helps with snorers.
Exactly right.
But can you imagine keeping your neck turned at an almost 45 to 90 degree angle the entire night? I mean, not great for your neck.
Yeah, and then with the lumbar spine, so the lower back, what do? You'd overextend through your lumbar spine, which what does it do? So over time, like imagine I was pulling a string forward from my belly button. It creates compression in the lumbar spine. So
yeah, it accentuates your curve, and especially for those who have a really soft mattress, that can accentuate your curve big time, and you can wake up with a lot of low back pain too.
So if you're a stomach sleeper, please try to shift towards a side sleeper and then hopefully a back sleeper. It's so important, your sleep position, right? Posture is everything. So whether you're sitting, standing, or sleeping, you have to take into account. And like Val said, she said, well, how can I tell I'm sleeping? Well, I've trained myself over the years to be a back sleeper.
Did you train yourself?
Yeah. So and it's definitely, when you go through the process of doing it, does take practice. It takes practice. But so now I do a lot of breath work before I fall asleep. But it is amazing how much better I feel getting out of bed in the morning.
And with the pillow underneath your knees, right?
Yeah, so I use sometimes a small pillow underneath my knees. We didn't talk about that when you're sleeping on your back. So we want to maintain neutral spine, so all the curves in your spine. So when your knees are extended, sometimes it'll overextend your back as well, right? Mm-hmm. So when you put a small pillow between your knees, it helps to keep that neutral spine. Like I said, this isn't rocket science. This is just pure biomechanics. We want to optimize the alignment at all times.
Yeah. I also read that sleeping on your back helps with not getting wrinkles overnight. So I don't know how true that is. But when you sleep on your side, you sleep with your face all squished.
There you go.
So that's a little parenthesis.
That's a beauty tip for all of us. I really need to do that now since all my wrinkles that are coming in. So there's other things too. Like you talk about, if it's even sleeping on your back, this is kind of cool. Val was doing a little bit of research for this. There's like reducing acid reflux. Actually, sleeping on your left side, which you talked about in pregnancy. Mm-hmm. We were talking about this.
Yeah, we talked about it before.
Yeah, we were talking about this before. But sleeping on your left side when you're pregnant. Well, actually, the anatomy,
blood flow.
Yes, if we look at the anatomy of our digestive system, sleeping on your left side is actually helps the body with digestion because of the position of your stomach and how your stomach acid sits in it. So that's another interesting tip. So if you're going to choose right or left, choose your left side. But yeah, again, this is just very important stuff because before we get into that, if you have trouble sleeping in a particular position, it's very highly recommended that you seek help to figure out why, right? So some people say, well, I can't sleep on my side because of my shoulder. Well, then have your shoulder evaluated, right? That's important, right?
Yeah, because often people have a lot of different shoulder issues, right? And if you're sleeping on your shoulder and it's already, for example, too forward, right? So if you're sleeping on your shoulder and it's still a little bit more forward, well, you're going to irritate it even more. So
that's a huge one, right?
Yeah,
get your shoulder. Yeah, so give us a call. Have Val evaluate your shoulder. And same thing, if you're having low back pain or any trouble sleeping in certain positions, make sure you seek the help of a professional to help evaluate, so they can come up with a plan so that you can get yourself out of that pain and improve your function, which will also conversely help with your sleep, right? Because sleep's a double-edged sword. So some people will complain, well, I can't sleep because of my neck or because of my low back or because of my shoulder.
That shouldn't be a reason, yeah.
So if you guys have any questions or comments, please do not hesitate to write us here on our Facebook page. You can find us at vitalitytherapy.ca. We have some awesome videos and lots of health tips. You can also give us a call if you want to
book an appointment.
Yeah, book an appointment with us. And if you like our video, you like our content, there's plenty more on our page. We do these live videos every Friday at 12:30. So
sometimes a little late.
Today we were both behind schedule and had to eat a little something before we sat down. But hope you have a great weekend.
A nice weekend, yeah.
And thank you, Valerie, for helping me out today. And we will see you next week. Have a great weekend.
Bye, guys.
Bye.